So we have Boruto 2 Blue Vortex chapter 19 titled Konohamaru-chan, and in this chapter we get a lot more action compared to the previous chapters. Coming off at the end of chapter 18, we see Sarada, Mitsuki, and the Sen Ninja begin to battle Ryu, alongside Konohamaru being confronted by Matsuri, as well as more information about the Shinju ideology. When it comes to the concept of love, Jura makes the conclusion that they must overcome it in order to achieve what they want. 2 Blue Vortex chapter 19 was another great chapter in my personal opinion, as we got a lot more when it comes to ramping up this current arc. The battles, especially when it comes to Sarada, Mitsuki the Sen Ninja versus Ryu, was incredible in my opinion, as we got more screen time when it comes to these side characters, especially with Sarada and Mitsuki. We saw more of Sarada's versatility when it comes to her using her jutsu, as well as Mitsuki tapping back into that sage mode, which I think it's safe to say that he can finally use it on a more consistent basis compared to part 1, and especially in the anime. As we know, whenever Mitsuki did used to use sage mode, it would break his body down. It seems like this isn't the case anymore, and I'm glad that we get to see more of him, at least battling in the main story of the manga. So let's start at the top of the chapter. At the beginning of this chapter, we do see a flashback between the Sen Ninja, between Araya, Yodo, and Shinki, where we do see Shinki put some sort of jutsu on top of Araya's blade. Shinki explains that he infused the blade with this chakra, so if he were to apply his wind style sword jutsu to it, he would be able to manipulate the iron sand. This effectively keeps Shinki in place, just in the scenario that he does rage and lose control of all bearings. In a scenario like this, it does become helpful now that Ryu has control of Shinki's iron sand, and the only way to truly combat this is the blade that Shinki infused his chakra with. Shinki does explain that the reason why he does this is in order to protect somebody like Gaara, who is his father. Once again, showing another concept of love, as we see another character doing whatever it takes in order to protect their father figure. We've already seen this with Kawaki, obviously in very extreme measures, Boruto's relationship with Naruto, as well as with Sasuke, and now we do see it with Shinki. Anyways, we jump back into current time, where we do see Araya free Mitsuki from the iron sand by swinging his blade once again, where he does explain to everyone on the battlefield that he will take care of the iron sand, and that the current objective is to attack Ryu head on. And this totally excites Ryu, as he hears that these characters that he is currently battling are excited and confident to take him down. Which I do have to say, when it comes to this current battle, I do have to give credit to Ikimoto, man. Whenever we do get to see these close-ups, especially when Ryu is saying stuff like this, and the iron sand being manipulated throughout the air in this battle, I do have to say it is very visually appealing to read. I do really like it, and it's something that we don't really get much when it comes to these abilities. So far in Boruto, especially in part 1, and at least so far in 2 Blue Vortex, we haven't really gotten these abilities that are visually detailed like the iron sand. Yes, we've seen it with the Uzuhiko that Boruto has shown in the past when fighting somebody like Code and Idari, but one thing that I've noticed in TBV is these jutsus are getting more complex and much more appealing to read page by page. And we do see this here as the battle begins with Ryu throwing the iron sand, trying to attack them all at once. However, thanks to the blade that Araya has, he has the ability to manipulate the iron sand to make sure it does not affect them. And he does this multiple times throughout this battle in the beginning, where this does allow Sarada and Mitsuki to create an opening for them to attack right away. This fight is very interesting to me because you actually see Sarada and Mitsuki work in tandem. We've already seen Sarada work in tandem alongside Boruto and Konohamaru when they were fighting Hidari earlier in TBV back in Konoha. However, now that they're fighting Ryu by themselves, you do see the urgency to take down someone like him. With the iron sand being manipulated within the air, Sarada and Mitsuki are allowed to get off their attacks freely, where they are actually clearly hurting Ryu. Ryu is getting caught by surprise, he is being attacked right away. It's not like he is currently dominating the fight, but since the iron sand is being countered and manipulated by the blade, this allows Sarada and Mitsuki to fight freely. And I'm glad I'm able to see this, because if I'm being real here, throughout part 1, we haven't really seen Sarada and Mitsuki carry their own weight, and in this battle you do see them actually hold their own. Obviously in a one-on-one, if they weren't without Araya and his blade, they would be cooked. We all know this, but since they are fighting together, you do see the strategy that Sarada and Mitsuki are employing, with Sarada using a fireball jutsu to distract Ryu, and then Mitsuki coming from behind to restrain him. And this is where Mitsuki does activate his sage mode once again, trying to go for the kill. However, Ryu does escape this in time by disintegrating himself into the iron sand into thin air. Everybody is confused on where exactly did Ryu go. However, thanks to Yodo's super hearing ability, she is able to hear the pebbles of the sand formating within the air to locate where he is coming back. And this ultimately catches Ryu by surprise, as since they were able to locate him before he formed again by using the pebbles in the air, Araya is able to catch him in mid-air, restricting his movement, which allows Sarada and Mitsuki to attack once again. Mitsuki uses his snakes to attack Ryu, and then Sarada follows up with a Chidori, which clearly hurts him. However, it's not enough, so he disintegrates again with the iron sand into mid-air, trying to relocate himself to fight again in the battle. Sarada even admits that the blow from the Chidori was too shallow and was not enough to kill him right away. Anyways, we jump to the conversation between Konohamaru and Matsuri, where Matsuri is fully crashing out on Konohamaru by the fact that Konohamaru does not want her to call her Konohamaru-chan, which makes her incredibly angry. She has activated wood-style jutsu that is around his neck, essentially ready to kill him at any time due to how he was talking to her. I gotta talk through Konohamaru's perspective. I'm not gonna lie, he's just selling this mission, man. I do understand that he doesn't like that Matsuri is calling him that. However, he must stay composed, since in a situation like this, knowing how dangerous the Shinju are, he cannot afford to make any mistakes, and right here, he has made a completely grave mistake, and this is where Matsuri has fully turned on him due to the feelings that she has for him. She even calls Konohamaru selfish for talking to her that way, and that she just wants to call him whatever the hell that she wants. Konohamaru tries to fight back, which makes her even more angrier and restrains Konohamaru even more by putting more wood-style jutsu around his neck, once again threatening to kill him. Ada, overlooking this conversation through the use of her Senringan, explains that this isn't what she wants to call Konohamaru. However, since Matsuri and Konohamaru don't have any sort of relationship whatsoever, Konohamaru does not like that. However, in a situation like this, it is beyond Konohamaru right now. Koji is able to gather this intel thanks to his conversation with Ada, since they are communicating telepathically. Boruto is gathering this information, discovering that Sarada and Mitsuki are fighting Ryu, and that Konohamaru is in a situation where he will get devoured. As it stands, it seems like Konohamaru is cooked, and at any point, he will get devoured. Meanwhile, Sarada and Mitsuki have no chance to really get to Konohamaru, since they have their hands full when it comes to fighting Ryu. Boruto clearly looks troubled here, and it looks like he does want to help out and go to the Land of Wind and take down these opponents. However, Koji does say that he understands why Boruto wants to go over there in order to help his teammates, but now is not the time. Which does make it interesting, because even though Koji did tell Boruto earlier that he shouldn't go to the battlefield, which would provoke Jura, and he would come and kill basically everyone there, since they do know that they don't have the manpower to take down Jura right now, it does seem like at some point Boruto will make an appearance on the battlefield. So that is something to look forward to, as I was kind of expecting the side characters like Sarada, Mitsuki, and Konohamaru to hold their own. However, if it continues like this, especially from Konohamaru's perspective, Boruto may just have to step in, and I don't mind that at all, as we haven't seen Boruto in a while. Especially in the past few chapters, it has been focused on the other members of Team 7, and deservedly so. I've been enjoying seeing the screen time of Sarada, Mitsuki, and Konohamaru. However, if there is a time for Boruto to make an appearance, it would be soon, so just make sure to keep that in mind. Anyways, later in the chapter, we do get to see Jura talking to Hidari when it comes to the ideology of what it means to be a life form. Since all of these Shinju characters have the ability to think, one of Jura's main goals right now, outside of just devouring an Otsutsuki in order to harbor a chakra fruit, is to be able to gather as much information as possible to learn more about the world. His thirst for knowledge is superseding some of his instincts to kill right away and devour some of the Otsutsukis like Boruto and Kawaki. And even though he does want to kill Boruto and devour Kawaki, he does explain in his point of view why do life forms act the way they do. He does say in his opinion, life forms should obey their instincts to strive towards the goal, known as evolution. However, because of their social status in nature, these humans will bind themselves, which is called reasoning, which will ultimately restrict their instincts, making them weaker. And this creates a fatal flaw for mankind. It is a harmful side effect of acquiring intelligence. And compared to the Shinju, they are the ones who stay true to their instincts and don't have to restrict themselves thanks to reasoning. But there are more side effects that do restrict intelligence. One of them is the concept of love, and that is one of the problems that the Divine Trees are facing right now. Case in point, we do see this with Matsuri. Her infatuation for Konohamaru is so strong that it is driving her crazy. And with the fact that Konohamaru does not reciprocate those same feelings, she is in a rage because of these feelings that she cannot truly process. And because it is making her crazy, this is why she made the statement that she does want to devour Konohamaru. It is her initial goal after all, and because if she does devour Konohamaru, she wouldn't have to feel this way again, which is very important as this will allow the Shinjus, such as Matsuri here, to truly go after the instincts on what she truly wants in life. I think that's pretty interesting here because it provides a reasoning on why some of these Shinjus are targeting these specific characters. Obviously, from a relationship standpoint, the characters that they are the prototype of have relationships to their targets, right? Obviously, Matsuri is the prototype of Moegi, who does have some feelings for Konohamaru, hence why she is feeling this way. Same goes for these other characters who may have some sort of relationship with the prototypes of the targets that they do want to devour. This is why Jura comes up to this conclusion, as he does state that back when he was fighting Inoshikacho, they were willing to throw their life away when trying to protect Himawari, knowing that they did not have the power to take down someone like Jura. We saw this earlier in TBV, where they prioritized Himawari's safety over their own, knowing that eventually they could die. And somebody like Inojin, for example, lost composure when seeing Jura play around with Himawari, and this put him in a position where he almost died, but thanks to him being healed and saved by Himawari later in the story, Jura realizes that these actions are created by the concept of love. And this is something that he questioned when he was battling Team 10 earlier in Vortex, pondering on why that these characters were willing to throw their life away in order to protect a comrade. This concept is so foreign to him, which is why he couldn't comprehend it right away. But after seeing multiple examples of this, with Team 10 trying to save Himawari, and then Himawari going into a rage after seeing Inojin basically die in front of her eyes, where she does activate the Nine-Tails chakra for the first time, he comes to this conclusion that the Shinju must overcome this concept in order to achieve what they want. And in my opinion, I think it's pretty dope to see a character like this come to conclusions when it comes to finding out what exactly humanity is, as when it comes to these characters, when they're protecting their comrades and protecting the village, they're willing to do whatever it takes in order to fulfill the mission, even if it means throwing your life away. And this is sort of the humanity that the Boruto series has provided, that some of these villains just simply don't understand because they are not human, right? Even though they have human-like natures when it comes to thinking and having these emotions like love, they don't even understand it, which is why somebody like Jura is so confused when he sees it for the first time. And then with somebody like Matsuri, she becomes so angry and is driven crazy because she cannot overcome these emotions that she has for Konohamaru. And these are the instincts that are telling the Shinju on what to do and what are ultimately driving them. But they must overcome the concepts of love. Anyways, we get to the battlefield with Ryu, where he does form again with the Iron Sand, where he actually pulls out a bunch of claw grimes that fall from the sky. Sarada and Mitsuki try to take out as much as possible, however there are so many claw grimes that their initial attacks were not enough. They all fall down to the ground when they attack Sarada, Mitsuki, and Yodo. Yodo is then caught by surprise after one of the claw grimes bites her back, where Araya tries to follow through with his blade trying to protect his comrade. However, the blade gets stuck between the claw grimes, where Ryu actually throws the claw grime that is holding the blade inside of him into another claw grime, where he ultimately teleports them away, which means that the blade that was essentially being used to fight back and counter the Iron Sand is no longer there. And since they no longer have it, they don't have an answer when it comes to fighting Ryu. Despite all the powers that they have, the only thing that really allows them to actually fight back against Ryu is this blade, which does keep the Iron Sand in check, which means that they have no answer when it comes to fighting Ryu, ultimately meaning that they are cooked. And this is where the chapter ends, with Team 7 realizing that they are in a bind. Matsuri has begun to devour Konohamaru, and this is where the chapter ends. Boruto 2 Blue Vortex chapter 19 was a banger in my opinion. The first read I thought it was cool, but after rereading it a few times, I realized how creative this battle was between Ryu versus Sarada, Mitsuki, and the Sand Ninja. The creativity and the strategy was there. It reminded me of a Naruto fight, and I do have to say the art was pretty good. the perspective panels when they were showing somebody like Ryu or Jura explaining their perspective, Matsuri's anger that she had for Konohamaru. I really liked the close-up shots that they had. And also when it comes to the battle with the Ryu, when Sarada and Mitsuki were trying to attack him head on, the way Ikimoto was portraying the angles of Sarada and Mitsuki attacking him was pretty cool to see. The ending of this chapter opens up many theories and possibilities for the future of TBV heading into Tubu Vortex chapter 20, such as when will Boruto actually arrive onto the battlefield, is Kawaki getting his limiters unlocked by Amato, and can Konohamaru and the rest of Team 7 survive on their own. In my opinion, I don't think they can, and I definitely do think help is on the way, whether it's Boruto or Kawaki once Amato does help him out. So let me know what you guys think of this chapter in the comment section below. What would you guys rate it out of 10, and tell me what are your predictions for Boruto Tubu Vortex chapter 20. So if you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe, hit the bell as well, and have a good day. Peace.